Okay, so we'll go over the civil cells available in the GDOT medians, DGN Live. These are component based or modular, similar to your T intersections, your roundabout cells, where you've got the pieces and then you kind of use the cells you need to build what you need. Uh, we've got four crossover cells. The type A, these are three centered, rural and urban there. And then you've got the just a simple curve nose, um, type B or C there, rural and urban. And then we have a couple of turn lanes, which will work with these crossovers there. And then we also have a raised median. And then we also have a U-turn, which is just a 2D cell, but it'll draw the geometry outside edge of pavement geometry that you would place generally in these crossover areas where you need that extra widening for a U-turn. Okay, so we'll go through placement of the median crossover type A rural 3 center there. So we're going to do that one first. And then select the right median edge of pavement. So I'll come in and select the right, the left median edge of pavement. And then I'm going to just use a near snap and snap to the approximate location. So a data point at the crossover location. So I'll snap there. Okay, and the geometry looks good, so I'll reset. And then it says select corridors to be clipped. I am going to go ahead and clip. And so I'll turn construction class on, select the corridor, reset, and accept this cell. Okay, so you can see the cell, and we'll just go through the horizontal edits next. Okay, so I'm going to turn construction class elements off. And then just looking at a few of these edits, I think the first I want to mention, initially these things are the crossover's place where you do have room to add a turn lane, but if you didn't have a left turn here and you wanted to take that out, you could just set that to 0. That all set there. Alright, to remove that turn lane, I'm going to actually do an undo because we are going to add a turn lane there. Alright, some other edits. As far as location, this element right here is called median width control. Do that one more time. That element there, so median width control. That controls your median width there, and that takes you actually to the radius point of that small radius arc there. So initially that's set to 31. If you need to change it, you can change it right there. Initially, this will kind of zoom in a little bit. Initially, it's set to 6 feet, and on the nose there, and then these other arcs here are set to 90 feet there. So if you need to change those, if I want to make that 8 feet. You can make that edit there. I'll go change this other side. and a few more edits. You do have a little bit of overhang right down here. So, if we choose these, you can see where these end. You can actually see where the cell ends there. So what that really would allow you to do, if you wanted to make, there's at times I've seen these bullet nose where you've got a little bit longer arc over here than maybe what you do over here. So basically what we've done for the cell is just if you go in here and grab, so you've got an extra 10 feet there, so you can move that around if needed. This element here, um, it's a length. So if we look at those snaps, so you can see that snap there. So this element right there is also really, probably should never have to change that other than offset, but you can extend or trim that. That just gives you a little bit more room to play with if you need to come further back. In other words, if there's any reason you need to change this radius, if it pushes beyond those purple lines there, the cell is going to fail. So what you would want to do if you have a situation like that, and I don't think you will, but if you do, it's possible you may need to extend that, make that 100 feet a little bit longer before you make that, if you have a real flat radius there that you want to use. But like I said, I don't think that's an edit you'll have to make. Okay, so we're going to go over vertical next. This element here is actually just a straight line profile from left edge to right edge of pavement. Now, and I actually projected slopes here, so I didn't use the profile intersection point. I guess although I could have. So there's really a right edge, a left edge, and then that active profile which just goes between those two. These edge pavements are the same elevation right now, so you really can't see that. But if there's a difference, you would see, that a line going from left side to right side there. All right. So that can be changed as needed. I mean, you can draw if you want a 2% down off of that. You can come in here and draw a 2%. Add a vertical curve, complex it, make that active if you want to there. All right, as far as the nose itself, so this element here, so if we'll go to properties and we'll look at this fillet, you can see it's just a negative 2%. So these basically the way this nose was profiled, 2% projection off the edge of pavement, and then basically that nose is really just, so if we'll go open the profile model of just the nose here, all that is just a straight line connection between this profile and this profile over here. And if we come in and look at this and see what that profile looks like, so that's at 2% down, 2% down over here, and then just a line connecting that point and that point there. Okay, so really the only other vertical besides that one there that we're going to discuss is going to be this ditch control line here. Basically, we have a couple of linear templates placed along, one placed from the end there to the middle of that nose, and then the same on this other side. And then basically those templates are we're using a point control to target this ditch. And if we were to look at this ditch, basically it's just set up initially to go from that nose, and then basically it's going down 5% right now initially. And then what we're going to do after we come in and place your added lane, your turn lane, and your taper in your turn lane or storage lane, we're going to come in and show you kind of how to adjust this profile to meet this ditch over here. All right, but that'll be after we place our next cell, which is going to be the median turn lane cell. Okay, so we'll go to place civil cell. And then we'll choose the median turn lane rural here. And then just follow the prompts here. Right median edge of pavement, left median edge of pavement, and then a data point at the parallel start point. So that's going to be right here. The geometry looks good, so I'll reset. Select corridor to be clipped. I'll come in and turn on construction class, and we'll select that through road corridor and reset and accept this cell. Okay, so let's go through some of the edits on this median turn lane here. So I mean, I think it's pretty straightforward. You just choose the edge of pavement if you want to lengthen your storage or your taper there. As far as vertical, you can see that's just a negative 2% slope projected. So if you need something different, you're in super elevation, and you just use your project tool. Open the profile view of this. Use the project tools to reprofile that. At the right here in this area there is a so this element, what we're doing here, we're carrying a six foot shoulder through this median. I think that's per standards, but and we've got a 10-foot initially that's set up here. So if you needed to change that, so if you had a different shoulder width, you just need to come in and change that parent there. So actually it's that element there. You can come in there and grab the interval right there and change that. So if you wanted, if you had a 12-foot shoulder coming in, you'd want to come in there and change that value there to 12 feet. Alright, so I think the last thing we're going to talk about is, on this crossover anyway, is kind of lining up vertically these ditches here. Okay, so I'm going to come in and just cut construction class elements off, and then we'll zoom in here. And then I'm going to open the profile model of the ditch control element here. Alright, I'd mentioned this earlier, but this element's drawn down from the nose down at 5% initially, so we don't really know where to go with it until we actually get to this point. So the first thing I'm going to do is line this up horizontally. So I'm going to go to the plan by 3D element and select that 3D element there, which, I mean, that could be possibly that's drawn 2D depending on that feature there. So you might not have to go through that process, but on the template I used, it wasn't drawn. So alright, so and then I'm really just going to grab this and pick this point up and move it over horizontally. Okay, and then I've got to just line this up vertically. I've looked at profile intersection point a couple different ways to do this, and I think because it's just the way it's touching there, right there on the edge, I'm not seeing it. So those other methods are, I'm not able to do it. So basically I'm just coming in and just going to come in and do a snap to that ditch line right here, so I can see that 299.972 is the elevation I need to get to. And then I'm going to just come in and use, go to geometry and use Civil AccuDraw here. And just come in and grab that. And we're going to key in 299.972. And then we'll just snap to that edge of that profile there and data point. And then we should see, since that there's a point control there following that element, so we should see that ditch hop up to match that other ditch there. Alright. Alright, so that's a kind of a quick overview. I hadn't done anything to this other side over here, right? But we'd pretty much go through the same process over here that we just went through there to get this set up. Okay, so I'm going to move up, and we're just going to real quickly place another crossover cell. We're not going to really do much with it, but I did want to show you the semicircle, the type B, type C. I'm going to go ahead and close Civil AccuDraw. And then we're going to choose the type B or C. So the rural simple curve here. And then prompt's going to be really the same, right median edge of pavement, left median edge of pavement, and then a data point. I'm going to just get approximately, and data point right here. Alright, that geometry looks good, so we'll reset, select the corridor to be clipped. We'll go ahead and clip this corridor here, reset, and accept. Okay, so I'll go over just a couple of the edits, and I actually have this 3D view in the wrong location, so just let me do a top and come to where this crossover is. Alright, I think the first thing I'm going to do is actually just edit this. I don't have a road over here, so there's not going to be a turn this way, or maybe a U-turn, but it's not going to be a road to turn on. So I'm going to come in and change this offset to 0 here. And I'm not going to go through a lot of edits with this semicircle sail. There are some minor differences between it and the and your 3-centered crossover. As you can see, it's 40 foot of distance there. That will control that nose location right there, because that arc there, see that snap there. Alright, so changing that right there, and I think you can actually, I think the name of it should, yeah, medium width control, so that will actually scoot that over there, and then it'll make that crossover wider. Other than that, and you really can't edit the semicircle. That radius is really determined by the width of median there. So that circle, or that radius, or that that arc is placed between edge of pavement to edge of pavement. So really nothing to edit there. Everything else is pretty similar. This element here would be pretty similar to what we showed earlier on the 3-centered crossover. Alright, so I don't really think I'm gonna make any other horizontal vertical edits to this, but what I do want to show you now is I want to go back and let's place the widening for a U-turn here. Okay, so I'm going to choose the U-turn additional pave width there. Alright, and then the outside edge of pavement, and then locate a data point for a start location. So offset really doesn't matter. It doesn't matter as far as what offset I'm going here. So I'm going to just data point approximately there, and you can see where what that data point did for you. That's where the widening starts. Alright, and geometry looks good, so I'm going to reset. I could clip, but I'm not going to clip. I'm going to use a template display rule to cut off this graphics here, or turn off your shoulder and the ink conditions through this area. So we'll reset and accept that cell. Okay, so you can see the widening there. Okay, so I'm going to go to corridor objects, and then I'm going to go to parametric constraint and come in and add INTL. I'm going to just set these values -1, -1. That could be anything, right? And or at least anything negative other than 0. So that's my start, that's my stop, and then we'll just confirm those prompts. And then what we're going to do is just, we're turning off the shoulder and ink conditions of the through road through that area. Okay, and you can see it did that. It did add some gaps there, but I could close those up with just your key stations. Add a couple key stations just outside of that point to close those up. I'm not going to do that in this particular case, but just the edits here are pretty straightforward. It's pretty much off y'all standards: 25 feet, 50 feet, 100 feet, and you can grab those and change those as needed. Alright, so that's pretty much it for the crossovers.